Get ready. Garmin Stone Cold Fishing starts right now.
Hey guys, welcome to Garmin Stone Cold Fishing Live tonight. We've got a fun show tonight. We've got some great topics, everything from early ice panfish to some great western fisheries. And we're giving away some pretty awesome prizes tonight. So stick around. Everybody that's part of the show tonight that likes and comments gets a chance to win these prizes. So it's pretty awesome. Big week in the ice market. There's a lot of fisheries have opened up. I know Lake of the Woods is going, Red Lake is going, and there's others all across the ice belt. If you are getting out, please be safe. No fish is worth falling through, and so please be careful as you go through tonight. The other thing is tomorrow is a big day for me. We're sending the first episode of Lake Commandos to the Outdoor Channel for our 10th season. So I'm pretty proud of that. 130 episodes that we've aired over the last 10 years. It starts the last week of December for the first of the year. So please join us as we start airing Lake Commandos going forward. Hey, let's bring on co-host Danny Thompson, a.k.a. the Iceman. You look pretty good for working the Fargo Ice Show for the last few days.
Yeah, I tell you what, I'm starting to wear down. I'm ready for a few days off here, but I'm in beautiful Fargo, North Dakota at the Holiday Inn tonight. So if my internet's a little bit slow, you're going to have to bear with me. But we had a great show. I tell you what, people are excited about ice fishing. And these guys up here in North Dakota, I mean, they really get into it. That's for sure.
Hey, did you hear anything about Devil's Lake? Is that locked up and you guys rolling out or not?
Sounds like there's a few guys making their way out, but there's still a little bit of ice that we need to get made out here.
Yeah. Hey, we've got a pretty awesome show tonight. We got Tommy Kimos coming in about 10 minutes. He's going to talk about early ice panfish and how he approaches it. And if you haven't fished a Perspective Mountain, Danny, I know you have, wait till you see what this thing really can do for fishing. So, and then we got another topic coming in from the West as well.
Yeah, I tell you what, we've got, a lot of guys have made the trip out west to fish giant perch on Cascade, but I tell you what, we've got a guide tonight, a guide from Wyoming, Shane DeWise. He is going to talk about some other great fisheries to go to and some of the other types of fish you can catch out there.
Yeah, if you're looking for some new locations, you got to check out some of these lakes. They're pretty awesome. We're talking everything from walleye to trout and lake trout as well. And then we've got a gift guide. Hey, Christmas is just around the corner. And if you are like me, you probably haven't been shopping. Danny, have you been shopping yet?
No.
So we're waiting for Christmas Eve, but we've got some great products for the ice fishermen in your family. So if you want to check it out, we're going to cover a few of those in our segment on some of the new products that are out there for this year that we personally recommend. I think they're pretty awesome.
Yeah, and I think another great topic tonight, we're going to have wheelhouses. Number one question at the shows this year is, I want to get this up on a 50-inch TV on the wall of my fish house. I want to get it next to my AquaView camera. How do I do it? We're going to cover some of that stuff tonight. We've even got a special guest from AquaView with Colt Ringer to talk to us about that as well.
So, Danny, I had Jordan Davis, a country music singer, in the fish house last winter, and I had the big AquaView set up, and this bluegill comes up, and he sets the hook a little early, and Pierce stands next to him, and he goes, "You stink." So it was pretty funny. Hey, the other thing is, too, we want to bring in Garmin engineer, one of the world's leading experts on Garmin, live scope, and Panoptics. So if you got any questions, and not only does Troy Simonton, really understand the engineering side of things, this guy is a passionate ice fisherman as well. So, hey, let's bring Troy on right now. Do we have him there? Hey, Troy, there you are.
How you doing?
Good. I know you have no ice in Kansas, but you guys did have a 13-day ice season last year. So how'd that go for you?
Well, I'll tell you what, it was 1983 the last time I saw a foot of good hard ice in Kansas. But last winter in February, you all had that big freeze up there. We had a freeze down here, and I fished every single day. And we're catching white crappie. He posted up a pic of that, but giant 12, 14, 16-inch white crappie and wipers. Just having a good old time. And I even brought a couple of my buddies from Minnesota down last winter to ice fish Kansas. I think it was on their bucket list. So we had a great time, and I hope we do it again this year. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Hey, everybody watching tonight, if you have questions on Panoptics, on LiveScope, there's nothing you can ask Troy on these products that can stump him. And he's a passionate fisherman. So all you have to do to get questions answered by Troy is go into the comment section, write your question down, and Troy will get to as many as he can tonight. I know last year when we did this, Troy, you had over 100 a night. So I know you're going to be busy. I hope you got those fingers all ready to roll for going forward. So, guys, that's Troy Simonton, Garmin expert. So why don't you have him help you with any questions you got. So, Troy, we'll talk to you a little bit later in the show, man.
Sounds good.
For sure. Hey, Steve, before we go any further, we got to congratulate last week's winner. We had Mark Schoffelman from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. He won a new auger. Congratulations to Mark on that. And we're gonna have winners this entire season. Tonight, we're actually going to be giving away a couple of prizes, and we're going to be giving away that Garmin Striker 4 Ice Bundle, retail value of $299. And then tonight, we're going to be giving away a Razor Scout 7-inch auger. This thing is incredible. If you guys haven't seen these things, you got to really see these in person. But what a great couple of prizes there we're giving away tonight. And then, of course, we've still got the Garmin LiveScope prize. You guys to comment, ask some questions, get involved in the show, and you're going to be entered into the drawing for that LiveScope lithium ice fishing bundle.
Danny, I've got it right. I've got it sitting right here in my office. This is the brand new one with the new transducers and everything in there. And we're giving away this to enter to win this thing. You just got to comment on the shows, and we're going to give it away on the last week of the season. So it'll be kind of cool. Hey, I'd really like to bring in Tommy Kimos. But before we bring Tommy in, I'd like to play a short clip of Panoptics in the perspective mode, or actually LiveScope in the perspective mode in shallow water. And Danny, Tom does a pretty good job in the video highlighting, but maybe you can step in as well. So check this out, a real short clip, guys.
Okay, what you're looking at right now, you can see that there's actually fish. These are fish swimming right here. And if you look closely, what that actually is, the real bright clumps, like what you're seeing right through here.
Go ahead, Danny.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can see the perspective mode there. The big thing on the perspective mode, and we've kind of talked about, is just the fact that you can use it. And so you can see he's in shallow water. We're actually taking that transducer and kind of turning it on its side. And so we're able to see so much further because we're taking that cone angle and using the narrow side to get us some distance in that shallow water. And as you can see there, he's actually able to see the weed clumps and kind of pick out through those.
Yeah, before we bring Tommy in, Kai, go ahead and show that mount photo just to show how that transducer, instead of being this way, is actually turned horizontal.
Yeah, so you can see the transducer there. It's actually, you can see what we call the perspective mount, and you can see the transducer, how it's turned on its side, allowing us to get that 20-degree cone angle on its side and being able to slice through that shallow water and look a lot further. Otherwise, when we're in that forward mode, that cone angle just runs out and you're not able to get that distance. Right here is a perfect graphic of this. You can see we got the 20 degrees. We're looking at, actually, it looks like it's an old foundation is what that was. Couple of trees down there. You can see the fish in there. And so this allows us to get so much more distance in that shallow water.
And Danny, how deep can you go with the perspective mount?
I really want to use my perspective mode once I get under 10 feet. You could maybe use it just a touch deeper than that, but it's really a shallow water application. Really anything under 10 all the way down to that 3 feet of water.
Yeah, I can tell you the first time I ever used it, and Danny got a little lag there in his hotel, I saw so many panfish on the screen. I was like, this can't be real. And then I pulled up on the bay and then I could see it. But hey, let's bring Tommy Kimos in, Garmin Pro, well known as a walleye pro. He fishes the NWT, but you're also a very passionate ice fisherman. And so, Tommy, talk a little bit about your approach to early ice panfish. Bring in perspective mode as you use it, but where are you looking? How are you using perspective mode, and why is it such a big deal for you?
Well, hey guys, it's good to be on again. Early ice in Wisconsin, especially southern Wisconsin, we have a little bit slower progression into the season than you guys do up in Minnesota. So it starts with fishable ice. So typically we're going to start out looking in lakes that have ditches and more like backwater or slough areas, places that aren't affected by wind. You know, this fall we've had a lot of wind. So I'm going to start in ditch areas. For example, I was up in Oshkosh today fishing one of my favorite ditches. And, you know, number one, you mentioned it before, we're having a little bit of a weird early ice here this year again. You know, safety is number one. Be really aware of what's going on. We got a big snow event in northern Wisconsin that covered some pretty shaky ice to begin with. So this is going to be one of those years to make sure you have your ice bar along and keep checking as you go along. But anyways, so I'm going to start looking in these ditches and whatnot because they freeze up first. And perspective mode is absolutely the deal in these situations. You know, all ditches are created differently, and I've never really figured out any rhyme or reason as to why there's good fish in one ditch and small fish in another, or no fish in another ditch. What I can do with that perspective mode, you know, when I say ditches, I'm talking, you know, 2 foot to maybe 4 foot of water. I can start in the back of the ditches, put my perspective mode down, and it's so unfair to the fish now. It's crazy, but I can put that down, and I can not only see what there is for fish, but I can see the sizes as well. And what I'll do is I'll just work my way out. Now, one of the keys to early ice pan fishing is stealth mode. You don't want to be making a lot of noise. I'll set my live scope unit up with just a stick and a half, meaning that that transducer is as close to the surface as I can get it. I don't want it sticking way down because once again you're gonna disperse the fish. So I'll set it up pretty shallow. I'll drop it in, and I'll look at what's ahead. If I'm not seeing what I'm looking for, I'll jump another 120 to 150 foot, set it up, and keep working my way out. Now the beauty of this is in these ditches, if you go in there and you just start pounding holes, you know, we've all done it. You go and you drill 50 holes and then you look for the fish. You know, if you do that, you're actually going to drive the fish right out of the ditches. And in some situations, like what we have down here right now, you're going to drive them underneath ice that you can't walk on. So with that perspective mode, I'm able to, with only drilling a few holes, quickly locate the fish. For example, today, worked all the way out of the ditch, and it was all small fish, and right in the mouth of the ditch, the first like deep dredge hole, that's where those fish were, and I was able to pinpoint them and get on the fish with only drilling about, you know, once I saw the fish, I drilled 4 holes. So I wasn't pounding a whole bunch of useless holes, you know, where half the time you're drilling in water that's too shallow for the fish to be in. With this setup, you're only drilling right where you need to be. You're not creating a lot of extra noise and chaos on the ice.
That's a great point, Tommy. One of the questions I wanted to ask you is pull yourself out of the ditch and go into the weed flats. And you mentioned in that video, we didn't run the whole clip in that video, but talk about traveled corridors in the weeds, talk about weed clumps and holes in the weeds and things that you're seeing in the perspective mode and how that affects where you're fishing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, once we get out, we're going to be looking for key areas to set up and target these fish. But the beauty now, once again, is that with my perspective mode, I can see the entire picture of what's out in front of me. So I can pick and choose where I'm going to be dropping my holes in. Now, you know, before we had this, you're always hoping to get the lucky hole, you know, find that sweet spot, but there was never any like rhyme or reason to it. It was just like a magic place. Well, now with perspective mode, I can actually see and understand why those, you know, I know why that's a good hole because, you know, there's a break in the weeds that those fish are able to cruise. they're able to stay down in their comfort zone and work their way through, where, all of these lakes have predators. So bluegills, perch, crappies, they're not at the top of the food chain. So they also have to, they're not only feeding, but they also have to be, utilizing cover, because there's other critters typically that are chasing them and driving them. And that's another important thing also, is that, with the perspective mode, you can see right away how much movement the fish have. There's some days where if you don't drill a hole right on those fish in the wintertime, you're not going to catch any fish. Like, it's a day where they're not going to spend a lot of energy traveling around, so you need to be right on top of them. But there's other days where they're moving into feeding areas, and with the perspective mode, you're able to recognize those. But more importantly, you're also able to recognize the pockets in the weeds, the places that are going to be high percentage to get bites. And that's a huge deal. Once again, like, I don't want to be drilling a whole bunch of holes, dropping my auger on top of their heads. Like, this way you can see them and be way more efficient.
So Tom, let's say, Kai, why don't you run a photo of two of the perspective mode with some panfish on it? So Kai, I know we've got some. So Tom, what are we looking at here? Are you there? Oh, so pull back on that one. Kai, go ahead. So Tommy, could you kind of explain what we were seeing there?
It's actually not coming up on my feed. Is it one of the photos that I sent you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not
Okay.
seeing it.
Okay, Kai, go ahead and back up on that. So Tommy, talk a little bit about the setup. How far do you set your range? What are you using for? Just kind of take us through your setup. And are you using a grid system or not?
Absolutely, the grid system is an important piece of the system. You for sure want to have it set up, because once again, it gives you a much better feel for exactly how far away the fish are, and I'm trying to use this to be as precise as possible, so that grid system, you can drop it down. You're basically dropping it surgically right where you need that hole to go. So I do like the grid system. I'm not using this so much to fish with, as I am to see what I'm fishing, and to pick the places that I'm dropping the holes in. So going back, when I'm in vegetation, depending on the thickness of the vegetation, that's going to determine the range that I go. The thicker the vegetation, the tighter the range that I'm gonna use. Because in certain situations, you're not going to be able to see the detail that you really need to. But now going into once we get into situations where I'm actually looking for sparse clumps of vegetation, well then, 140, 160, 180 foot will show you those sorts of things, which is awesome. It's where we used to spend hours running around with the auger, blowing the fish apart. You're right on top of them now. One thing that go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask you, I wanted to switch over to the baits and lures that you're using. So what are you typically running? And Danny, I know you're a huge fan of panfish early ice as well. So what do you guys like to run in terms of, are you running lead? Are you running tungsten? What plastics or live bait? What are you guys going with?
You want to get started, Danny?
Say that again. It skipped on me there.
So Danny, in terms of bait.
All right, I'll get started. I'll get started. So I like fishing spoons early ice, especially in shallow water situations. When I'm talking about spoons, I'm talking about number 14, number 12, pretty small spoons. I like to fish a waxworm on those, especially in situations where there's a little bit of color to the water. Big bluegills, perch, crappies, they can't, we call it the steak. they can't resist the steak shaken on a spoon. One of the things that's important when you are fishing spoons, especially the lighter spoons, you do want to match your spoon with a split shot. And you know, it depends what size spoon that you're using, but you want to make sure that you get that right action out of your spring bobber. That's especially with bluegills. You know, you almost have to put them into a trance a lot of times, and you want to get that nice cadence going. And that's a situation where having your rod and your spring matched to your jig size and the sinker. Now, in situations where you're going with tungsten or a heavier jig, you know, that's I'm going to go away from the sinker. But with spoons and lighter baits, the sinker is super important. Not so much to get your bait down there, but to have that control that you need to trick those bluegills.
For sure.
How about you, Danny?
Yeah, I mean, I almost have to agree with Tom there. I love fishing spoons, and I think a lot of people actually think it's kind of crazy. You know, you talk about fishing panfish, you think small baits, lots of people using little tungsten, that kind of stuff. But I love spoons. When I'm fishing live scope, I'm trying to get on those active fish, and a lot of times it's just a matter of getting something in front of their face and they'll bite it. And so if you can get a big spoon and get in front of them, even with a plastic on it, a lot of times you can get them to bite. So that's typically where I like to start because it's more fun to catch them that way. And then, you know, I'll kind of work my way back down to the smaller stuff from there. And, you know, a lot of times for me, it's just about having something like that is heavy enough, like he said, to work that spring bobber, but something that gets down quick, gets to the fish, gets to that fish that I'm looking at specifically, and then I can kind of move on to the next active fish.
You know what's been interesting, guys, is we're getting a ton of great comments tonight and a lot of great questions. We're keeping Troy busy, so it's kind of fun. Hey, I don't know about you guys, but when I was fishing in the World Championships, I really became a fan of horizontal jigs versus vertical jigs. A vertical jig sits like this, fish comes up, you got to turn the jig to get it in its mouth, whereas a horizontal jig sits like this and the hook's right there. The thing I like about spoons, and I've become a huge fan of panfish spoons lately, is that's on the hooks, that treble hook. Typically, I use a treble, is unless I'm in thick grass. But I like the fact that when that fish comes up to eat and they suck that water in, with that split ring, that hook and that bait tends to go into their mouth much easier than a vertical type of presentation. And that's been fun to kind of see that. I mean, I'm blown away watching, especially fish if you're sight fishing or using an aqua view camera, is how many times these fish try to eat and can't. They just don't eat very efficiently. So you want to make it as easy as possible. Hey, Tommy, we're going to have to let you go in a minute or so. I got one other question for you. What are you running for your line? Are you running mono in shallow water? Are you running fluoro? What are you running?
On the long rods, I always use fluorocarbon. Typically 2-pound test. In some situations, I'll go down to 1, but for the most part, I'm running 2-pound fluorocarbon. You know, I'm not using a spinning reel, just using the old line winder. So the fluorocarbon is nice because it has a tendency to stay. It doesn't seem to have as much memory as mono does. So, you know, it's super important once again in panfish jigging to have control of that bait. You don't want that bait spinning around down there. And I really like the way that fluorocarbon handles that. Now, when I go into deeper water situations, I will use, most situations, I'm going to use mono. I think it handles a little better and it's a little more forgiving to line twist. It's one of the things that I've noticed with fluorocarbon is I feel like it twists a little bit more in some situations on your deeper applications, but for sure in shallow water, I'm definitely using fluorocarbon.
Great stuff, Tommy. Hey, thanks a lot. I know the Packers are playing right now. I think the Bears are beating them like 24-0 right now. Or maybe not.
Yeah.
Anyway, we appreciate your time tonight and great stuff as always. We look forward to seeing you next week. Yeah, he locked up there, Danny. Hey, we've got a ton of comments tonight. We got a lot of great audience. It's really exciting to see everybody that's involved. Just a reminder too that we're giving away a striker for at the end of the show. So stay tuned through the show, and we're also giving away a Razor Scout, which is a phenomenal auger in a 7-inch, which is really kind of awesome. But let's move on. We got another great topic tonight.
Yeah, so I think I'm really excited about this topic. You know, a lot of times I think when we're thinking ice fishing, I think we kind of forget about the rest of the ice belt and how great it is out on the west. And so tonight we've got Shane, and you know, he's a native of Wisconsin, but he kind of found out about how great the ice fishing is out west and kind of headed out that way. You know, and he's I think he's going to have a great perspective tonight. He's fishing some of these great lakes like Flaming Gorge, I think, is one of the lakes, and I think we've got a photo of a lake trout from there. I mean, you can't tell me you wouldn't want to pull something like that up through the ice.
That's a 10-inch auger there, baby.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And Henry's Lake and Hebgen, just many more lakes. I think that we should get him on the line here and kind of find out what he's doing. I believe he's the owner of Recon Angling Guide Service. You know, I think this is going to be a good.
Hey, Shane, are you around? Hey, there you are. Oh,
Hey, how's it going?
What's with
Perfect.
the Green Bay shirt?
I like winning. Got to represent a winning team.
What is the score? I haven't seen it yet.
No, the game's just starting right now.
Okay.
So-
Well, as a Viking fan, I hope the Bears win tonight just to keep us a little closer toward the end. But
Well, you know,
awesome.
looking in front of me, my favorite picture I got a big canvas on my wall of Clay Matthews sacking Brett Favre when he played for the Vikings. So I always look at that when times are tough. Makes me smile.
So Shane, how long have you been out west? And you live in the southwest corner of Wyoming. Why did you move out there?
The first thing was less people. So I was in the Army, and my last duty station was Fort Carson, Colorado. And so I really fell in love with the West and the mountains and just Western fishing in general. You know, typically we can be ice fishing all the way from second week of October, sometimes all the way to May. So I absolutely love ice fishing. So for me, it was kind of good because I got to spend more time on the ice. And as far as moving out to Wyoming, Denver got a little pricey and a little overcrowded, population boom. And I was always going to Wyoming. The fish were bigger. As you saw that lake trout that you posted up, that's a typical lake trout for Flaming Gorge there. So that's
How big is that?
about 23, 24 pounds right there. So, and they get upwards, to 50 pounds up here. So the biggest we got on the boat last year guiding was 45 pounds. And then my client got a good one. We were actually sight fishing in 10 feet of water, and we got one just a few ounces shy of 40 pounds through the ice. So
Yeah,
it's a really special fishery out here. And, a lot of people know about it, but I'm surprised at how many people don't know about it.
So Shane, kind of take us through some of your favorite fisheries out there. Let's start with Flaming Gorge. It's right on the Utah-Wyoming border. Huge body of water. Was very famous years ago for its brown trout.
Yep.
But it's not that the brownies don't seem to be in there in any numbers now, but the lake trout are phenomenal. What's it like to fish that in the winter?
So it's windy. So we have a lot of days out there where you have 40, 50 mile an hour winds with gusts, around 60 miles an hour. But a lot of these mountain reservoirs out here, they're basically flooded canyons. So there's a lot of structure, flats, points, drop offs, stuff like that, to fish lake trout. So it's kind of ideal for lake trout anyway. You can fish anywhere from 10 feet of water all the way up to 150, 200 feet of water for lake trout if you wanted to. The deepest spot at the gorge is just shy of 500 feet by the dam.
So are you fishing that through the ice all winter, or is that a boat fishery as well?
It's actually both, yeah. So one day I could be out on the ice on the northern part of the lake, and then the next day I can jet down on the Utah side and hop in the boat and catch them on the boat. So it's a good and bad thing out here. The boat usually doesn't get winterized out here. We use it, 12 months out of the year up here.
So I know you've been fishing Henry's Lake recently. How's that been? And where is it located? And what do you catch there?
Yeah, so Henry's Lake is located just about 15 miles southwest Yellowstone. And it is a premier destination if you want to go catch Yellowstone cutthroat. They got brook trout in there, and then hybrid, or we call them cut bows up here. And that's kind of the prized possession at Henry's are the cut bows. And, the cut bows get really big up there. It's not uncommon to catch, catch them over 10 pounds. If you guys have caught cutthroat before, very beautiful fish. So it's a very shallow, weedy lake. And I know you guys were showing that perspective mode up there earlier. And I know we talked a little bit earlier this week, but I was actually out on the ice when you called me, and we were using perspective mode to find holes in the weeds and also kind of fish highways in the weeds, to better locate trout. Because what we found out, especially this weekend with the water being murkier than it usually is, you got to be right on that trail or fish highway to really get into fish. Otherwise, you start seeing those numbers drop off. And before live scope, we had to kind of move around, drill a bunch of holes. And when you're doing that, it's cutting into your fishing time. So it really cuts back on that. Plus, it makes it pretty entertaining.
We got a photo of you with that hybrid, one of the cut bows. Kai, I think he's going to try and look it up. That's a tiger trout.
Yep.
But and then we had the lake trout. Kai was the first one I think you ran earlier. Nope, that's the lake trout. We'll find that. Hey, talk about hebkin. I know I've been on hebkin myself. There it is.
There it is.
How big was that fish?
That was 33 and a half inches, and I'd say roughly about 16 pounds just from, holding big fish, anywhere from that 14 to 16 pound. It filled a 10-inch hole.
Jeez. And that was Henry's?
Yep, that was at Henry's. Yep.
And then hebkin, I know hebkin is, my daughter lives in Bozeman, so we've been out there a couple times. I was actually shocked how good the fishing was when I was there over Christmas a couple years back, and we had some good rainbows out there, and there's some, I think, cutthroats and stuff in there as well. But that's another body of water. So if you're out skiing at Big Sky, or you're out in Bozeman area or West Yellowstone, sneak down to hebkin. I was kind of blown away how good the fishing was there for a number of trout species. How about we switch over to walleyes and hit some of the walleye lakes? What are a couple of your favorites in Wyoming?
So Boisen's a really good opportunity in kind of west central Wyoming. Pathfinders is really good. A lot of really nice walleyes over there, double-digit walleyes. You got Seminole Reservoir as well, which is right off of I-80 in Rawlins. And if you're moving back east in Wyoming, Pathfinder and Keyhole are really good lakes. And then Glendo. So there's a lot of guys from Denver and Cheyenne that travel up to Glendo, and it's a really great walleye fishery. I think the West is really overlooked for walleye fishing. Sorry, just because trout is kind of the staple of fishing out here, and when people think of the West, they think of fly fishing and trout. But I was really amazed when I moved up here, just the amount of opportunities you have for big walleye, crappie, bluegill, and even largemouth through the ice up here.
Hey, Shane,
go ahead, Danny.
I was gonna say, what would you say to a group of guys from Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa that want to make a trip out there? I mean, is it something that we can load the stuff in the back of the truck and head out there and attempt this? Is this something where, I mean, you have to get a guide to be able to do this stuff? I mean, what thoughts be on something like that?
Yeah, I mean, some of those other lakes, I think you guys, that have experience walleye fishing and stuff, the structure isn't that you're going to be looking for isn't too much different. Navionic like that has really great maps of the lakes up here. It's really nothing you guys couldn't do and come out. Most of the lakes out in Wyoming anyway, when the ice is thick enough, you can drive onto it vehicles. You can, take ATV or stuff like that. And, compared to some of the lakes that, growing up on the bay and stuff, you have all this distance to cover. Compared to that, it's really not a whole lot. So you can really move around throughout the day and really get stuff dialed in within a day or two.
So what are you using for baits mostly, for say for walleye?
Walleyes, we use a lot of these, PK spoons, PK flutterfish, tip ups with minnows, just basic stuff that you would use, I guess, in back in the Midwest. Works out here too.
Okay. Hey, we're going to have to let you go real quick. Shane, tell us a little bit about Recon. How can they get a hold of you? And, if somebody wants to come out and out fishing, how do they reach you?
Yeah, so you can just go on my Facebook page, Recon Angling. Just on there, if you're interested in doing guided lake trout out here in Wyoming, I do ice and open water. Ice fishing is pretty much booked up for this year, but some opportunities for next year moving forward.
That's awesome. Hey, if we don't talk to you before Christmas, have a great Christmas. And Danny and I are heading out tomorrow to fish with you, so leave some room for us.
Perfect. All right. Take care. Thanks, guys.
Everybody, thanks again, Shane. We'll talk to you soon. I have to admit, when I think of fishing, I think of Green Bay or Bay de Noc or Ontario Lake of the Woods. But I mean, it's about the same distance to some of these fisheries to head that direction as well. I mean, obviously a little further, but it's pretty cool to see what's out there.
For sure. It almost sounds like you could kind of pair a shed hunting trip with an ice fishing trip out there as well. So I think I'm going to have to look into that.
Yeah. I'd like to head out to Cascade and get into some of those giant perch one of these years. And
yeah,
I keep thinking that this will be the year, but I might have to do that. Hey, everybody, Christmas is just around the corner. If you're looking for some great gift ideas for the ice angler in your life, and if that's you, these are some of those topics or some of those products that I think you're going to want to check out. Hey, Plano came out with the Edge series, I think 2 years ago. And it's a great box. It's super well built. It comes with a rust preventative built in, so it helps prevent things. It's got a waterproof seal around it. And they've got a new micro jig box out there that has 3 different layers. Kai, go ahead and leave that last photo up real quick. You'll see how you can run your tungsten and stuff in some of your smaller spoons in there. In the bottom, there's a actual a clear tray in there. And if you look on the top latch, there's that yellow strip around it, keeps all of the water and moisture out of there. So if you're running your tackle boxes in your fish houses, you're going across the lake. A lot of times you'll get that crushed snow and powder in your tackle boxes. Now you can help keep them dry and keep everything organized. I fell in love with that box when I saw it last year, and it's a great box. It's $29.99 at a lot of locations. If you're looking for a store that actually has them in shop right now, check out omniafishing.com. I know they had some left when I checked on that earlier yesterday, but they're $29, $30, which is a pretty good deal. Danny, that Striker 4 is a great choice for a gift as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the Striker 4 is just such a good unit, and it's got a great price point. You can find this thing at $249 at pretty much all of your favorite retailers out there. And the thing about this Striker 4 is, yeah, it's a great price point, but this unit performs incredibly. I mean, we've used this thing, the flasher mode. I actually prefer to fish in the traditional mode with the A-scope on with this thing. The battery lasts forever. And the great thing is it can easily be put into a canoe or a kayak with that suction cup transducer you can get separately. I sell a lot of these to grandparents, parents buying, a son or grandson or granddaughter, their first ice fishing flasher, first fishing electronics, something like that. But also a lot of people just looking to have a flasher to go along with their live scope or something like that. So that Striker 4 makes a great Christmas gift. I see them at all the retailers. There was a lot of people buying them this weekend at the show for Christmas gifts. So it really does make a good gift.
And the other thing that's really awesome about it is actually has GPS. It's not mapping, but GPS. So if you want to make sure you can get back to the ramp, you punch it in. Or if you want to get back to a spot that may be 6, 7, 8 miles offshore, you can save it as waypoints. And other flashers don't offer that, which is really amazing. Yeah, that's I was blown away with the Striker 4 last year when I was using it up on Lake of the Woods. It was awesome. Hey, Frabill is known for its tip ups, the rail style, and the Pro Thermal round ones, but they've got a new one out called the Viper this year, and it's kind of taken it to the next level. You can see that lid actually opens up and closes, and water at the bottom of the ice is 39 degrees. I think people think it's 32 degrees, and what that cover does is helps capture that heat coming up. But the other thing, and again, this thing covers 6, 8, and 10-inch holes. But the other thing is I want to point out is if you look at the bottom of that photo, you can see that plastic tube, and it's an aerator system that runs on 2 D-cell batteries that keeps the water flowing in the hole so it doesn't freeze. And the other thing is that spool, it's not horizontal to the hole. It's actually vertical like a straight line reel, and it's got 2 ball bearings in it. So it lets the line out super smooth. I've had a chance to fish this just recently, and it's one of those products that really does some things extremely well. They're available online and at your favorite Frabill retailer. They sell for about $69. I saw it for $59 too. There's actually a light system too that so if you get bites at night, you'll actually get a light up system, which is pretty cool. Dead air there, Danny. Hey,
that thing is incredible. I mean, that almost makes me want to go tip up fishing right now just to try one of those things out.
Tip ups are a ton of fun, especially when you take the work out of trying to get get them out of the hole, which is pretty awesome. Hey, Danny, I think it was 4 years ago or 3 years ago, I stopped at your place and you walked over to your wheelhouse and you had this 50-inch TV with live scope running. I have to admit I was blown away. Talk a little bit about the process. Why would you want to set up live scope in a wheelhouse, and why would you want to project it on a 50-inch screen?
Yeah, so I mean, these wheelhouses are really becoming a part of the ice fishing world, and they continue to get bigger and bigger. And there's a bunch of reasons, I guess, that people would want to be able to do this, but the benefit of being able to have a screen where you can see it from the couch, and then a screen that you can see from back by the bunk. And then the other thing is just imagine if you're in a wheelhouse and you got 6 people fishing in there, you don't want every person to have 6, flasher units set up over all those holes, and you're tripping over those things all the times. So being able to get the nice 8610 mounted right to the wall, have your TV up there, being able to watch live scope on a 50-inch TV. There's really nothing better than being able to do that, especially when you're in a wheelhouse where a lot of times you're in there to enjoy, your friends, your family, and playing some cards and watching the football game or something like that anyways. So being able to put this onto a TV cleans everything up, gives you, an incredible way to watch it. And it is a little bit different, than just buying your typical live scope bundle, but it's incredible setup.
So Danny, when you say the 8610, that's not sold in an ice bundle, but it does have the HDMI out. And we have a photo of the back of the unit right here. You can see where it says HDMI out. That's the third port from the right in this photo. So all you basically do is you run that to your television and look for the source on that, which is pretty cool. Hey, Danny, before we go any further, I'd like to bring in the president of Aquaview, Colton Ringer, and talk a little bit about it, because not only can you do this with live scope, you can also do this with Aquaview cameras, which I think is pretty cool. Colt, are you here tonight?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, you're looking there. You're looking good.
Well, thank you.
So talk a little bit about, what's it, the multi-view system. So if you want to set up your big screen TV to run not only with live scope, but also Aquaview, what do you need to do to set that up?
Well, I think you mentioned it and you showed the picture of it. We have a system, and Danny tipped on it. I mean, the popularity of and the comfortability of fishing in the wheelhouses is just exploding. And 50-inch TVs are not uncommon in these, we call them multi-little condos, and to be able to project on a big screen via HD for our system, it's fairly simple. It's a box that mounts on the wall like you saw, HDMI into the TV, camera down the hole, and now you're watching fish TV on the big screen versus our traditional screens. And what's even cooler is like last winter when you came to visit, when we were able to hook up that 8610 and have half the screen be the live scope, there it is, and half be the underwater camera, is about as I think as good as it gets.
So we were running this as a video clip earlier, and there was some bad language, so we had to run it as a photo. And I have to admit, it wasn't you, it was me. Because what happened is that pike that you can see in that photo, Danny, we actually watched it come in on the live scope, and all of a sudden Colt says he's got the bait, and I'm watching live scope and he's watching the camera, and all of a sudden the fish swam in. I could see the shiner in his mouth as he swam in front, and it was pretty amazing. But to give you really a perspective of what it's like, Kai, we've got a photo of the sort of a wide shot that shows the screen, the big screen TV, and what it's like to fish doing this. I mean, look at the size of that screen. That was before we switched it over to the split screen, but look at the detail in there. And I mean, it was so much fun watching up on the big screen with that, in the comfort of that beautiful home, that wheelhouse. That was kind of fun. So, Danny, the 8610, if you wanted to purchase one of those, how do you actually buy that particular unit for the wheelhouse?
Yeah, so with the popularity, like we're talking about, of being able to put these into wheelhouses and whatnot, pretty much any of your big ice fishing retailers, they're going to carry this 8610 or even the 1243 that has that HDMI out on there. A lot of these people are actually calling them the wheelhouse package. So if you were to go to your major ice fishing retailers or your local ice fishing retailer, they will know what you're and you'll be able to get set up with that unit. The big thing is to make sure it has that HDMI out. And so you get your screen, you're going to get your live scope system, and then you go ahead and get yourself an HDMI cable, and you're watching live scope on 50 inches of TV.
Now, Colt on AquaView, you can run with, you've got one of your HDI units there, but you can run it with the multi-view system, or if you want to go with the actual camera with the screen and plug it into the TV, you can do that, because that's what I did in my house last year as well. So talk about what do you need if you want to set up your wheelhouse with an AquaView so it's up on the big screen.
Like you said, if you've got one of our HD systems on the back, this is our new quad camera, and this is going to be really fun next to the live scope. But we just have an HDMI port in the back.
Yep.
That all you will need to do is go into the TV, or if you have that 8610 unit, they have an HDMI in, so you'd HDMI into the Garmin and then HDMI out from the Garmin into the TV. And I think we've been fielding some questions too, and just to clarify, and we with the 1243 that Danny mentioned, I think that just has HDMI out. So a system like this, you would need a splitter or a TV with like picture-in-picture to be able to get both that split screen. So just we always recommend check with the units to make sure they accept video in, and then it can go out. But
and the 8600 series definitely has that.
Yep, that one does. I think the 1243 just has out, and I think we fielded some questions, and that won't quite work with our system without some splitters or picture-in-picture TVs. But so definitely doable and simple.
One of the things that blew me away last year with having the AquaView set up in there is that you could see things like how rattle baits affect fish, or what would happen if a big muskie or pike came through the hole and the panfish were there. And you could see how fish would respond to different presentations in a way that was super clear. But talk a little bit about, that quad cam. I mean, Danny, I don't know if you know this thing looks all four directions at the same time. So Cole, take us through that a little bit.
Right. So like you said, it's 4 HD cameras. So all you have to do is just drop it straight down the hole. And now you're going to be looking at almost a true 360 fashion where you're going to not have to get up and turn the camera if a pike swims by or a bluegill swims by. You'll be able to see it on 4 split screens and then be able to touch zoom and then zoom in. And like I said, HDMI out into the back of a Garmin unit, you'll be able to probably have those 4 screens. You would just have to manipulate the touch zoom on this screen. But it's just like another tool. And you said it's super entertaining. The live scope with the camera paired. I mean, it's the ultimate learning tool system. I mean, you throw it up on the big screen TV, it's fun, but the stuff you can learn by watching. I mean, that pike was hiding in the weeds. I've got a picture on my phone. I don't know if it was before or after. I can't remember if we caught him, but he was laying in the weeds and not moving. You could see him on the camera when he's up moving. When he was above the camera, you could see him on the live scope. So it's not like a either or. You know, we get this question all the time. It's like, well, what should we have? It's like, well, there's certain applications. This only, will cover certain parts of the water column. Use the live technology to see what's swimming around. You can adjust your camera and pair the technology to really, get the ultimate live view of what's going on.
So, Danny, this is not just a winter situation too. I've been running the cameras into my units out in the boat as well. So, and displayed them actually on the Garmin, which has been pretty awesome. Hey, yes. Colt, if somebody wanted to buy the quad cam, where can they get those? And if they want to buy the multi-view, where can they get those?
Most of the big ice retailers have all of our inventory. We're sitting pretty tight direct. So check with your big ice fishing retailers, and they should have a good supply of quads and multi-views. And if they don't have them, they can order them direct or drop ship through us. But
so what's your web address on that? In case somebody wants to just research these.
Check it out. It's aquaview.com, AQUAVU.com.
Awesome.
Not VIU, like most people say. But Danny, I had a quick question for you.
Yeah.
On the research and development. It was the last day of muzzleloader season today. And as I was stomping around the woods, I wanted perspective mode. I wanted something looking over that next ridge. So please tell me you're working on something like that.
I this year anything to have that as well.
So I'm having tag soup.
Yeah, me too.
Hey, Colt, I can share that with you this year as well. And I think, Danny, you can eat soup as well this year. It's
yep.
I don't think it would have helped to look over the next ridge this year for some reason. It was a little sparse.
It was tough, but it's time for ice fishing now.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's good ice up where I'm at. So
yeah, Colt, thank you for stopping by tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
absolutely. We'll see you on the water.
All right, take care.
Yeah.
Boy, I tell you what, that makes me excited to maybe pull the wheelhouse out and make some use of it for something other than a deer camp here. I mean, being able to have that camera and the live scope on there, that seems like it'd be a good time for sure.
That split screen was
yes.
It blew me away. I mean, I actually had a ball doing that, watching that last year. And I ran the camera in super shallow water last year with a lot of first time anglers, and it was fun to watch their kind of view on things. Hey, we got to shut things down here in just a bit. I do want to remind people that in a few minutes we're going to be giving away a Striker 4 ice bundle, a Garmin Striker 4 ice bundle. Pretty amazing unit. And then we're also going to be giving away a 7-inch Razor Scout. This runs off a drill. I love this unit because it's got a center pin and super sharp blades. I think cuts extremely well, and it weighs about 6-7 pounds max. So it's very easy, and I've got a couple seasons out of the blades I got on mine right now. It's been pretty awesome. So Danny, what's next for you in terms of you're up in Fargo? Looks like you're spending the night up there. What's your week pulling up for you?
Well, just kind of trying to getting everything buttoned up and ready to finish out the year. I'd love to get out on the ice and do some ice fishing. We're starting to see some of that. And then, of course, I got to leave on New Year's Day for the next show. So getting ready for the boat show season coming up, but I'll definitely be able to sneak some ice fishing in there, I'm sure.
Awesome. Hey, Kai, do you have anything for us yet? We've got Kai. We're gonna.
Yes.
Yes, he's gonna get that stuff for us real quick. So, guys, I want to talk about next week's show. We've got a number of guests coming in as well. We're going to be giving away also that live scope ice bundle. It's not going to be next week. That's going to be the end of next week, but we're going to run the next couple weeks. And then the week between Christmas and New Year's, we're going to take that off because I'm going ice fishing and I'll be out in, I think I'm going to go try Hebken again because I'm going to be out in Bozeman for Christmas. It should be kind of fun. Kelsey, thanks for all your comments tonight. Pete, Dewey, thanks for all your comments. Colt, and just the guys with the walleye group out of Minnesota here. That's been awesome. And so, guys, thank you for joining us tonight. We're going to pick these winners here in just a second. Hey, before we take off, I do want to bring Troy back. If you got a minute, Troy, can we bring you back real quick?
Sure.
And you had a lot of questions tonight. Any of them that stumped you?
I had an Aquaview question, but Colt jumped in there and helped me out, so I appreciate that.
So, what is if you had one tip for guys that are running and gals that are running live scope and Panoptics, if you wanted to maintain longer battery life, what's the number one, number two things you can do to be able to run your unit much longer out on the ice?
Well, two things. Keep it warmer than normal. I mean, just don't leave it outside all night and then expect it to work really good the next morning. And then run your battery or run your backlight down a little bit, especially if you're fishing in a shelter or something. You don't need to have 100% brightness. Turn it down even to 80% or 75, and that'll give you 2 or 3 more hours easy during the day. So
is that right?
That's the easiest way to keep the battery going.
Awesome. How many questions did you have tonight? I was watching through the comment feed, and it was like, boy, he's going to have sore fingers in the morning.
Yeah, no, that's good. Bring them on. I love that. And, yeah, that's a lot of fun.
Awesome. Hey, Danny, we got a couple winners for tonight.
Yes, looks like we do. I think let's go. Let's do the striker first here. How's that sound?
Sounds good to me.
Tonight's winner for the Garmin Striker 4 Ice Bundle, we've got Kelsey Evelyn. So congratulations, Kelsey, on that Striker 4 Ice Bundle. You're definitely going to love that thing and be able to get out on ice with that. And then let me scroll down here. All right, for that Razor Auger tonight, we've got Rachel Barta. So Rachel Barta winning the Razor Auger. So congratulations, Rachel.
Wow. 2 women winning tonight. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was watching a lot of those comments come through, and it's interesting to see. I think there was even more comments coming in from the ladies tonight than even some of the guys.
Yeah, I knew bringing you on would be beneficial.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Kelsey and Rachel, Kai's going to reach out to you via Messenger to get your shipping address and stuff. And congratulations, guys. And next week, we're going to be giving away more great prizes. So tune in next week. And if you got any comments or questions and things, I think, Danny, I want to add a little more of a comment section so we can get involved in answering some more questions. So
yeah, that might actually be a fun thing to do for sure.
Yeah. Alrighty. Hey, everybody. Thanks again for tuning in tonight. Troy, thank you for lending your expertise. And Danny, I hope you have a safe drive home tomorrow. And thanks for stopping by, guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Everybody have a great